Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. So if you haven't guessed already by the title, today's video is my horse's evening routine. So this is everything that we do on a weekend, on an evening when I do the horses. It's going to feature all of the horses, so all 7 of them, Smokey and the 6 at home. So I'll be heading to the livery yard in a little while. But yeah, so that's what we're doing today. So I know what you're all thinking. Georgia, why are you sat in a giant wheelbarrow? Well, my friend, this is not just any wheelbarrow. Let me introduce you to Big Bertha. So this is a 250 litre tipping wheelbarrow. She has dual tyres, so not just one, but DOS, and she tips all on her own. She has a little tippy function, which I will show you if I ever manage to get out of here. But this has kind of been gifted by my new sponsors, JFC Equine. They produce so much for the equestrians, especially made out of really hardy, durable plastic. So yes, you'll see her throughout the video, as well as a few more of their products. But for now, we need to go back in time because I've already done Smokey. So we need to head back in time to the livery yard and see to Mr. Smokey.
So Smokey's evening routine is different depending what day it is. So today is a Saturday, which means he's been turned out by the yard and I come down, and the first thing I need to do is muck him out. So this is the state of his stable. So the first thing we need to do is take everything out and start to muck out. So for some reason last night Mr. Smokey decided he didn't want to eat his tea, but I'm also going to empty that out and his water's really filthy. I don't know what he's been doing. So I just chuck that away, and then I'm going to give his water bucket a really good clean because he's literally chucked so much rubbish in this. I think he's been like getting straw in it. So I'm going to chuck some clean water in there, and then what I use to clean out buckets are these cleaning mitts, gloves, whatever you want to call them, from B&M. They are so cheap and they've got like bristles on them. They're for washing up pots, but they are so good for stuff like this. So much better than using, you know, your standard brush or those like bucket cleaning brushes that are a bit harder. They're good, but this is the best. Like, it gets it clean stupidly quick, and I actually use these on the horses' coats if I'm giving them a bath, and again, fantastic. I think they're like £3 from B&M. So I'll empty that water out, give the bucket another little spray out, and then it's time to fill it up. So the one thing that this yard doesn't have are automatic water drinkers, which I wish they did because I hate doing buckets, especially in winter when you're moving them and you just slosh it all down your leg. But luckily the girl next to me has this little thing that I can move it on. So the next job, I start off filling my hay nets. So Smokey gets 2 hay nets on an evening just because he comes in around 2:30, so he's in for a really long time until 7 AM in the next morning. So I like to make sure he's got plenty to eat. So he does get 2 really big hay nets, and he is on hay on this yard. It's always quite good quality hay, so I'm absolutely fine with that, but I still hate filling hay nets. So now I'm just going to muck Smokey's stable out. Now, I'm by no means good at straw beds. I do not like them, I've decided. I much prefer shavings, but it is like a straw only yard that we're on, so I can live with it. Like, I only have to muck him out twice a week, so it's absolutely fine. But yeah, straw is definitely not my favourite. as you will see by the fact that I can't make it a neat, tidy bed, and it just frustrates me so much. So there we go, this is the finished bed. It's as good as we're gonna get. I chucked a load of straw in there. I just don't know how you make them look good. Like, I don't get it. I can make any straw bed look good, but I just can't do it. Someone help me out here, please. I don't know what I'm doing. So it's time to go and get a little smoked from the field, and wow. Yeah, he is stable stains galore at the moment, so I will give him a little bit of a brush off before I leave. I'm not going to be riding him this evening, I am just going to be seeing to him because I'm going to go and do all the other horses straight after, so I've not got time to ride this evening, sadly. So here is Smokey's feed ready to go, and it's got his psyllium and his gastro premier, and I think it's the psyllium that's causing the issues. He doesn't really like the taste of it. We've had this before when it was in the pellet form, but I go and add some water to it in the hopes that maybe he will possibly eat it, and clearly he's like, absolutely not, mother, I'm not eating that stuff. So I'm going to leave it there and hope for the best, and then I'm just going to pick out of his hooves, which I do every single evening, and then give him a little bit of a quick brush off before I need to go and see to the other horses. So that's Smokey all done for the evening. I just give him a quick kiss on the nose and say bye to him, and then I trundle off to my car, ready to drive to Mum's to go and see to the other 6 horses.
And we're back where we started. So welcome back to the present time. I'm still sat in my wheelbarrow, of course, and I'm about to work out how the hell I get out of here in one piece. Yeah. I don't know. But it's time to start the horses at home evening routine. So theirs is very different because obviously Smokey's on livery, and I only have to do them on weekends. Normally at home, Mum looks after the horses, and then I help out when I can, and today is one of those days. So I just need to exit Big Bertha and then we can go feed some horses. This is where YouTuber kills herself via tipping wheelbarrow. Don't try this at home. So it's a really good job that JFC is so durable because it needs to be to survive me. Let's go. Now, the good thing about a gigantic wheelbarrow is that when you have a stupid amount of horses, all of the hay nets still fit in them. So we've got Danny's, Chunky's, 2 gigantic chilly ones because he's high maintenance and requires 2. And then we've got a Lucy and a little Caramel. And because Taffy is special and he has his hay all chopped up, we also have that to go on there. Now normally in a normal wheelbarrow with just one little wheel, this would be overflowing and I'd probably drop all of the hay nets several times. But as you'll see, in New Big Bertha, we do not have this issue.
So next is on to the feed. So I'm just heading into the feed room now, and Mum has kindly already made the feeds for me because some of them have to be pre-soaked, so they were done this morning by her. So we've got little Caramel, Lucy, Danny, Taffy is the purple, and then under here we've got Mr. Chunk, and then we'll grab Chili's in a moment. So we just need to add some water to each of them to begin with. So the different horses get different feeds. I won't go through absolutely every single one because I will be here forever. If you want to see a what I feed my horses video, then let me know in the comments below, and I might do that as a separate little thing. So I've added the water and I'm now just going to give them a good old stir. So this is Danny's. His has been soaked earlier in the day, so if they look a bit dry, that's why. And then again, this is Taffy's slop, as we call it, his mash, because he just doesn't have the teeth, bless him, to eat it all up. So I'll go and put these 5 on the wheelbarrow, and then we'll go and do Chili's. And the good thing is about this wheelbarrow, I would never have been able to take all of the hay nets, Taffy's chop, and all of the feeds at once before on my own. It normally takes like someone with like a normal size wheelbarrow and then someone carrying different things. So this is Chili's feed, and the reason it's out is because he's on medication at the moment. As you'll find out more in my next video coming up, but basically he has an edema, so he's on some antibiotics, which is this white powder that's going in now, and I need to make sure that I've got every little last bit out because A, it's expensive, and B, he needs it all. And then next he's having a scoop of Gastro Premier. So he has this twice a day and it has worked absolute miracles with his ulcers. I have Smokey on this, and I absolutely swear by anything by Premier Performance CZ. If you're looking for really good quality supplements, then check them out. I'll link them in the description box below. And then lastly, we add a hell of a lot of molasses. So the reason we're adding molasses at the moment is just to get Chili's meds down him. He's an absolute terror. We used to have to give him medication on a bit of toast with molasses. That was the only way to get it down him, but at the moment he is actually eating it, so I just chuck in a hell of a lot of molasses and hope for the best. But he is behaving himself and he's eating it, so we'll see if he eats it tonight. And then I give it a good old stir and make sure every single part is in there. Then I'll just grab his inhaler and some sugar cubes, and off we go down to the field. Everything in one barrow. Honestly, this has saved my life.
Lucy Lou. Tea time, gorgeous Gilly. Hi, baby. Yeah. Done. Good boy. There you go. Chunk.
So the next item from JFC, which, believe it or not, we've only had this about a week, but we love it. And as you know, if I love something, I use it. And horses plus muddy field equals muddy circular feeder. But you know, I like to keep it real. This is my horses coming into autumn. So this is the circular ground feeder and it is weighted. So this is filled with water so it can stay in Taffy's field all year long. Obviously we will clean it at some point, but this is reality of owning horses, people. They ain't clean. So if you don't already know, Taffy gets fed mash 3 times a day. He's 36 years old, he's a very old boy, so he doesn't have the teeth to eat normal horse feed. So he gets like basically slop 3 times a day and he takes ages to eat it. So leaving him with a bucket in the field for him to kick about and everything just wasn't doable. So we were looking for an alternative, something safe to keep in the field all year round. Doesn't matter about the elements, you know, come rain, wind, sun, everything, snow, ice, this can stay out here. So it's no trouble whatsoever for us. And all we do on an evening is just pour his feed into here and he absolutely loves it. And so do we. It keeps the ground nice and clean as my ground can be, given that it's muddy. But it keeps his feed off the ground, so it's in a clean place because the actual feed bit is clean. He just likes to kick the sides, which don't they all? But yeah, this is super durable as well, so it can stay out here and it'll be out here for years to come.
So as well as his slop, Taffy also gets some chopped up hay, and we literally have we call it a chopper. It's this big wheel that chops up the hay really finely so that he can actually eat it and still get the forage he needs in his old age without his teeth. And this at the moment we just pop on the floor, so maybe we need to get another circular ground feeder for his hay as well, which might make it a bit easier for him. And speaking of hay, by this point the other horses had finished their feeds and were very ready for their hay nets. So I bring in a hay net for each of them because they have it all measured, so that each hay net is weighed, but we're not actually going to be putting these up. I'm actually just going to be emptying them straight out into their paddocks. So there's a few reasons that we give the horses hay nets and then empty them out. The main one being that we don't want them getting any hooves or shoes caught in the hay nets on a night time. By having hay on the floor, obviously there's no risk of them injuring themselves, and also it's much more natural for them to eat off the ground. Having some older boys in our herd, and especially Danny and Taffy who are retired, they need to kind of try and keep that top line in the most natural way now they're not being worked, and so did the others anyway, so it's much better for them to eat it off the floor than it is to have it hung in a hay net. And that's why I like the circular ground feeder so much, because that encourages a natural height of eating, not just the fact that, you know, then he can't knock it around and things. It's much better for them. And the other reason that we actually give them hay nets and empty them is because all of my horses' hay nets are weighed. So they get 3 hay nets a day. This is their final hay net, and this is the largest of the 3. And they get different weights throughout the day, depending on their workload, depending on the horse, age, you know, lots of different things, but every single one is weighed. And that's why Mr. Chili gets 2 gigantic hay nets, because A, he's a KWPN and he drops weight and condition like there's no tomorrow, especially in winter. So he needs a lot more forage, and also he can't have the same hay as the others. So he's on haylage and he can only have ryegrass haylage. So he has a slightly different composition as well as the other horses. So that is all of the horses fed. Now it's time to chuck everything back in Big Bertha. All of the empty hay nets, all of the feed buckets and the other buckets and just everything else that I brought down. I'm going to chuck all of that in her, go up to the stables and pop it all away. So the very last thing that I need to do this evening to complete my routine is to clean out all of the horses' feed buckets. So as you saw, the fields are getting pretty muddy and obviously a lot of my horses are fed quite a softened feed, so they can get quite dirty. So we like to give the buckets a good clean at least once a week with fairy liquid, and then sometimes the rest of the week they might just get a rinse out depending on how busy we are. But this evening I've got a little bit more time, so I'm going to give them a proper scrub with some fairy liquid and literally just an old dandy brush and really give them a good clean, so inside and out, get all of the mud off from the outside as well, because you would not believe how caked in mud the buckets get after a day or two, especially because we're on clay land. Honestly, it's such a nightmare. So I give each and every bucket a clean, and then I'll give them all a rinse out, and then they can be left for the evening to dry by the morning.
So guys, that is the end of this video. I hope you've enjoyed watching my horse's evening routine. Let me know in the comments below if it's similar to your evening routine, whether your horses have started coming in yet. Obviously Smokey comes in, but the rest of ours live out until a little bit later on into autumn. And a massive thank you to JFC Equine for sponsoring this video. Their links will be in the description box below, including links to the wheelbarrow, Big Bertha as she's lovingly known, and the circular ground feeder, as well as links to their website and all of their socials. So guys, that is it for another week. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you all next Friday. Bye guys!